What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to GmiasWorld. Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look into the abilities. Now, this came from some people that were watching my early morning live streams on YouTube. Just so you guys know, every morning I try to go live on YouTube before we go over to Twitch, just to give the members of the channel some inside information to some of the questions that they may ask. Now, you can easily become a member of the channel by looking in the description box and clicking on the link. Those are the people that get their questions answered more thoroughly. If you're just a regular viewer, it's very simple. Just like all of us do, we watch live streams and try to pick up on stuff that we want to learn, but you will not get the same thing that the members get, obviously, when they have concerns about some of the things that go on and why I do certain things with my abilities for my team. Now, I'm going to start off on the offensive side of the ball. If you're new to Madden Ultimate Team, just understand that what I'm telling you is definitely what's happening in the game. I've played Madden for since the original Sega Genesis. I understand it, and the progression and the way that it's declined in effectiveness of actual online gameplay. I really do feel that you should know what's really going on and try to formulate your own opinion after hearing different points of view and aspects of the game. Alright, so what we're going to do right now, we're going to start off with the offensive line. Now, what happened is EA Sports, in the most recent update to the ability points, they made it 14. They nerfed a lot of the abilities that the O-lineman had, like post up and things like that. I do not recommend O-line abilities. I recommend higher overall linemen. Now, the only reason that I have, Richie Incognito in as like a lower 87 overall is simply because I went all Raiders and I needed to have a couple old linemen to make it work with the 50 of 50. Because the way I adjusted it, it just worked out like that. So that's why you see those guys there. They're going to block as best as possible because their overall dictates it. In the previous Maddens, maybe 2021, it was more about having an ability on them than the actual, attribute mattering. So now, because the attributes actually matter what they have, you can get away with just having a solid O-line, and that's it, if their overall is suitable enough. So that's why you don't see any abilities on my offensive line. As far as the tight end position, the tight end position is very essential in Madden, and one of the things that you're going to learn about the Raiders is they have the fastest tight end currently, to my knowledge, with a 92 speed Jared Cook, right? So the abilities that I would use on him, slot apprentice and deep in. Now, if you have Dan Marino, obviously you don't need a slot apprentice. Just a point of order. It depends on the team players that you have rocking. If you're rocking Dan Marino, you don't need this. You don't need to have tight end apprentice. But being able to create a cross or a post and all those other things, corner routes, is beautiful from the slot. Well, not from the slot, but from the tight end position, which is why he needs that. Deep in is for my streaks because I moss dudes on the regular. Okay, so because I moss dudes on the reg, I need that ability because it does help with the catching in the middle. Now, on the outsides, it's not the same thing as it was in previous years with deep out. Deep out, you're still going to drop the ball more than not, and it's very disgusting the way that it's downgraded the gameplay feel of a certain catch in a one-on-one situation. So that's specifically why I have that going on right there. We go over to our quarterback, Josh Allenson, and we're going to take a look at his two abilities. Okay, pass lead elite and gunslinger. Now, do these stack? In my opinion, it stacks in the way the ball actually releases if you're going to lead the ball. See, gunslinger just gives you a faster animation. If you're leading the ball, it kind of coincides with the gunslinger and gets there faster. So I prefer to have these two. You do not have to use both. You can just have gunslinger if that's something that you want. But having them together, if you like to lead inside, outside, whatever like that, the way I do, lead up, I think having pass lead elite is essential. But having both of them is not necessary, because gunslinger alone is going to give you a lot of good animations. When we go over to Cordarrelle Patterson, he's the best running back in my opinion right now in the game because he's so fast. Once Bo Jackson drops, that's going to change obviously, but because he's an elusive back, you got to spend 2 on backfield master. Now, this is very important to have because creating the additional routes not only makes your opponent have to worry about what you're going to do every snap, but it improves the catching, and the game actually cheats with this ability. So although he's not a receiving back, which hurts us, it's still something that I would recommend that you use just so you can create those Texas routes, the table routes, all that stuff, bro, and just make your opponent's life a nightmare. All right, so that's pretty much what that's there for. And then the final things, Calvin Johnson and both Mike Evans, they have matchup nightmare. Now, matchup nightmare lights up all over the place, and it's not necessarily true that it actually works the way it states it, but some of the time you'll get glitchy catches. Trying to moss dudes without it doesn't really help. So I leave it on them. The physical receivers getting it actually helps them a lot more. So in certain cases, if you throw like a post route, a drag, whatever, crosser, and people are around you, you'll get freaky animations because you have matchup nightmare. But it doesn't work 100% of the time. Neither does anything in the game. But this will give you a glitchy animation every now and again, so I think it's worth it for me to have it. And I have the same thing on Miguel Evans. All right, so with that being said, now we go to the X Factors. Double me on both Mike Evans and Calvin, and then Derrick Henry has Freight Train. Well, Freight Train, I think it's Freight. Yeah, it's Freight Train. So that also is something good for the stadiums. If you get one of those stadiums where your X Factors naturally activate, it's always a plus. And Derrickano, he does what he's supposed to do. So in some games, he will get activated, and he will smash somebody up with Freight Train. So I just have that as the X Factor ability. So that's the 14 on offense. We jump over to defense, and this is where it gets interesting, because as of my last game, I usually have Acrobat on Sean Taylor and Cam Chancellor, but now I'm going mid-zone and mid-zone, and I'm probably gonna go, I don't know. See, I have Acrobat. Acrobats are really good, guys. It's just the fact that I don't know what EA did. It's like infuriating to think about it. They've nerfed it so bad that the guys don't even really react anymore. And also, Divine Diablo, we have Acrobat on him as our user, because just having Acrobat on your user is really, really good, because it'll just make you lurk all those little low passes and all that other crap that these players throw. So it's something that I would definitely recommend that you use. However you want to go about doing it, that's fine, but I would recommend that you definitely take a look at it and try to figure out how you want to work it in that regard. So whoever your user is, go Acrobat. Now, again, with the way that I have it set up right now, because mid-zone, the only thing that's good about it, and I think most of you guys will agree, is that they'll knock the ball out, but they won't pick it. So if they're anywhere near the person that gets the ball thrown to them, they'll knock it out. The ball will drop naturally because of mid-zone, but you won't get any animation to intercept the ball unless it's just blatantly thrown to you. So that's the only advantage, which is why I'm going to take the Acrobat off, because I was getting laser beam shot with just straight dots because there's no reaction. But at least with mid-zone, if they throw the ball fast and you make contact immediately, they're going to drop it. If you have Acrobat, they'll just dive through your body and still catch the ball. So we're going to experiment with that. Because of that, right now, we still have 2 AP left, because we got Michael Strahan with Unpredictable, and we have Aaron Donald with Unpredictable. Okay, so those things are very, very important with the way I run my defense. And yes, Unpredictable is good because in most cases, it'll just randomly shed. So I would recommend trying Unpredictable out, because it's one of those things where you know it's not going to work every time, but when it works, it's really, really good. And another thing, if you don't have that, the players won't really react. If you don't have abilities on your D-line, you better be running that contain blitz out of 3-3-5 wide, or running the 2-4-5 odd. Because other than that, you're not going to really get pressure. I run nickel triple and 3-4 odd, so I need abilities on my D-line to make them scream. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. I do also want to point out, because I have the extra 1 AP, the extra 2 AP that's available, I could throw on something on Charles Woodson like mid-zone also, because this year he's a zone archetype, which I just realized because I didn't even look at it. I just assumed it would be the same way that it was last year when he was man-to-man. So he has the opportunity to get both, because now I opened it up with the mid-zone. So we can see how that actually works, because like I said, they will drop the ball just because your player has mid-zone. So that's something that's very important to know as well. So we can use one of that AP to go ahead and do that. The other thing that we could do also, like I said, Michael Strahan, Charles Haley, and Aaron Donald, all Unpredictable. So those guys do what they do. If I wanted to do that, Mike Haynes, because he's man-to-man, it wouldn't make sense to give him that mid-zone for 2, because you don't want to overspend for something. Other than Acrobat, you don't want to overspend. So more than likely, he would stay with that. We could probably give Charles Woodson, like I said, mid-zone to kind of see if it enhances the way he plays. And if that's the case, then we would just take the Acrobat off of Mike Haynes and then also give him mid-zone, because at least he will, knock the ball out. Because if you don't, I'm just letting you guys understand, the players will not react. They will not. And the Acrobat, they'll dive, and the ball, all of a sudden, it just goes right through your body. And then finally, Teddy Hendricks, he has Lurker. If you have a middle linebacker on your team, and you think for whatever reason they're just going to go up and get the ball, you are sadly mistaken. This is a totally different game. You need an ability to be able to jump or even have legs in Madden 22. So that's very, very important. I cannot stress enough how important that is. So the only thing that might change is that we might adapt to mid-zone and just leave it at that and just say, you know what, acrobats, whatever. And if you beat us, you beat us. You know what I'm saying? But at least the ball won't go through our bodies on the reg. That's the only thing that may change, because it's either acrobat or mid-zone, guys. You got to pick and choose. And some of you guys are stacking mid-zone with acrobat, but I just think that the way the game is, it's just not going to be, no matter what we do, it's not going to always work. And that's why a lot of people have problems with the current Madden. Nothing actually consistently works, even though the ability says that it should. And then with the X factors, we got Unstoppable Force, Avalanche, so we can hit stick somebody into another world, and then Blitz, it wipes all the resistance bars from your opponent's O-line, and that's what we're rocking on offense and defense. That's everything and the reasoning behind why I'm doing it. Like I said, we may end up going back to acrobat, but for now, we're going to experiment with mid-zone. All right, guys? Thank you guys for asking the questions. Thank you guys so much for checking in, for always coming through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at GmiasWorld, for listening to my podcast on GmiasWorld Podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music. Thank you guys so much for that love and support. I'm going to see you guys soon. You enjoy your day. Stay blessed. Health and wellness. One love, y'all.